lesson 9.6, last lesson of chapter 9, which means next week we'll move into chapter 10, your last chapter of the year. Okay? So, solving radical equations, right? That's always our goal in almost every math problem, is to solve something. Okay? So, whole chapter has been on rational equations. So now you have to solve them, okay? Or rational expressions. So we're going to now put something on the other side, put an equal sign, turn it into an equation, and we're going to find x instead of just simplifying it, okay? So for the most part, I find people don't like working with fractions, okay? That's what a rational expression or an equation is. They contain fractions. So to solve, the very first thing you want to do is you are going to multiply everything in your equation by the lowest common denominator. Okay, this will eliminate your fraction, leaving you with an equation like you've seen before. It might be linear, it might be quadratic, it might contain a polynomial, okay? But you're going to get rid of the fraction part. So after you multiply by the least common denominator, we're going to simplify and solve like we've done before. Okay? So 3 over x minus 1 half equals 12 over x, right? This is now a rational equation. It's got rational expressions on both sides and an equal sign in between. So our goal is to solve. We want to get x by itself, okay? So we have fractions. So our denominators are x, 2, and x. So the least common denominator then is 2 times x. This is missing a 2, missing an x, missing a 2. And then they're all the same, okay? So we're going to take our expression, or equation, sorry. We're going to multiply everything by 2x. Okay, so if I take 2x and multiply by 3 over x, the x's cancel and I get 2 times 3, which is 6. Minus 2x times 1 half. The 2's cancel and I get 1 times x. And then I'm going to multiply by 2x over here. The x's cancel and 2 times 12 is 24. Okay? So I get 6 minus x equals 24. This is linear. You've solved these before. Find x. So we're going to subtract 6. We get negative x equals negative 18. We want, or not negative 18, sorry, equals 18. You want x by itself, not negative x, so we're going to switch our signs. We get x equals negative 18. You have now solved a rational equation. Okay? Multiply by the least common denominator, then simplify and solve. Because these are fractions, we have values of x that will not work, okay? So once you've solved, you do need to go back and make sure that this value doesn't give you a problem in your original equation. Make sure it's not an extraneous solution. We've talked about those before, okay? Those are false solutions. So always check. Okay, so we have 5x over x plus 1. That's equal to 4 minus 5 over x plus 1. Right? First step, find your least common denominator. Well, the denominator here is x plus 1. The denominator here is 1. And then x plus 1. So x plus 1 is your least common denominator. I'm going to multiply everything by x plus 1. So x plus 1 times 5x over x plus 1. The x plus 1's cancel, we get 5x. Then 4 times x plus 1. We would get 4x plus 4. Then negative 5 over x plus 1 times x plus 1. x plus 1's cancel, we get minus 5. So simplifying, we get 5x equals 4x minus 1. Get x by itself. You're going to subtract 4x from both sides. We get x equals negative 1. Now, we need to go back and check, okay? Make sure this works. So 5 times negative 1 over negative 1 plus 1. Just simplifying this, we get negative 5 over 0. Does that work? Does not. Gives us an error, okay? So this x equals negative 1 is an extraneous solution. So therefore, our problem has no solution. Okay, even though you found one, it doesn't actually work when we go back and check. It gives us a false solution. So our answer is no solution. All right, couple more, right? So let's do 3x minus 2 over x minus 2 equals 6 over x squared minus 4 plus 1. Okay, we want to find the least common denominator. So our denominators are x minus 2. X squared minus 4 is x minus 2 times x plus 2. And then this is 1. So all that's missing is an x plus 2 to make that our least common denominator. Okay, so we're going to multiply everything by the least common denominator. So times it by x minus 2 times x plus 2. When we multiply here, the x minus 2 cancels. So we get 3x minus 2 times x plus 2. The entire denominator is going to cancel here, so we get 6 plus x minus 2 times x plus 2. Okay? Then you have to simplify this. So we're going to FOIL. We get 3x times x is 3x squared plus 6x minus 2x is plus 4x minus 4 equals 6 plus x squared minus 4. Simplifying one more time, we get x squared plus 2. And then to solve this, you have x squared terms, so you need to put everything on one side. So we're going to subtract x squared and subtract 2. And you get 2x squared plus 2x minus 6 equals 0. You need to factor this. Actually, that should be 4x, sorry. First thing is you could divide everything by 2. So I get x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, it is slightly different in the notes. Either way works. And then factor. So factors of negative 3 that add up to 2 are going to be x minus 1 and x plus 3. And then solve. So x minus 1 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0. So we get that x equals 1 and negative 3. Have to go back and check, and they're both going to work. So our solution is 1 and negative 3. So solving rational expressions, just multiply by the least common denominator. If you only had, right, if this 1 wasn't here in this problem that we just did, and it was just one rational expression equals another, you could cross multiply, and that'll get rid of your fractions, okay? All right, solving rational equations. That's the end of chapter 9, so look for your chapter 9 test to do next week.